diversified basketball, bringing black people who are good in it,
nothing you're saying is making any sense.
Oh, okay, I bet.
Because what they did
of course
is
you don't.
The NBA went to pure merit, pure excellence. Are you good at this? That's all they cared about.
They allowed black people in, right?
Exactly, because prior...
Okay, then.
Hold on. Because you know what they had prior? Was a form of racial stereotyping. And you want more racial stereotyping. Your worldview is indecipherable from the KKK.
So
what you want, it's indecipherable because you are race obsessed. I am not race obsessed.
No, you
talk
are,
about the
though.
race.
You
talk
are,
about race
though.
more than the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Right.
Because
I'm the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Well, think about it. I said your worldview.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Because you're around talking about race all the time. I'm talking about character. Which of us?
You talk about race all the time. You literally said DEI is based on race when it's not.
Because
it's
I'm
DIA
explaining.
with accessibility.
Man, you're getting
meaning,
really upset.
You're right,
take
because
a
you
pause.
keep lying. For instance, right? I've been trying to say this. DEI, one part of DEI is literally giving women tampons or pads at work. Oh, yeah, you're laughing because you don't know that.
Giving women tampons is a form of DEI.
Yes, it is. You know why? Let me explain. Yeah, y'all know. I got you. I'm about to explain to you guys.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back here into a new video. Today, we're going to be checking out Kirk. Cook's fool who says tampons are DEI. This is crazy. What? Who says that? This is gonna be heated debates. Like, it's gonna be crazy. Tampons, like, that's crazy. How low can you go? I call it Charlie kick because he loves kicking ass. I'm sure he's gonna kick this guy ass right now. So let's get right into today's video, guys.
Mr. Simple, you've said some very nasty things about me online, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Simple question, Simple Black Theory. What do you think about blind hiring? Are you for blind hiring?
No.
No. So why not? Because blind hiring, for those you don't know, is based on merit, where you don't look.
No, it's not.
So what's blind hiring?
Blind hiring would be that you do not put the race actually when you submit for, you don't even see the person when you interview them for a job.
No. That's one part of blind hiring. There's multiple ways to do blind hiring. But at the end of the day, blind hiring is exactly not knowing the person's race, age, or gender. That's based on merit. Like you said, you want merit, correct?
Well, hold on. Those things can factor into merit as well. For example, if I'm trying to hire for an Amazon warehouse worker, and all of a sudden I find out that they're at 69 with 1 year left from retirement and the age is not disclosed, wouldn't I prefer to have a 24-year-old man than a 69-year-old woman who's overweight?
You're moving the goalpost. Let's bring it back here.
No,
the whole point was about blind hiring.
No,
right?
you said race, sex, and age is not incorporated.
Correct.
I think you should have a full picture of a human being is when you hire them.
So you care about diversity?
No, actually I don't.
Why? Because that's basically merit. You're focusing solely on merit. You said you want meritocracy.
No. Just to be clear, if diversity happens naturally through meritocracy, great. If all of a sudden we have people
DEI.
that, well, no, it's not. DEI is by force.
So let me explain that.
No.
Go ahead.
I got to interject.
Go ahead.
DEI is that we are going to forcibly make an institution more colorful.
Right.
We're going to forcibly make an institution more black. Where if all of a sudden, if half of Texas A&M was black because it was all on merit, praise God, that's an amazing thing. It doesn't matter. If all of a sudden, for example, if the NBA is 75% black because it's on merit, great. Terrific. If the NFL is half black because on merit, we don't want to force race. We want excellence and meritocracy over race in every possible circumstance.
Right, yeah, my turn. Okay, so let's get into the NBA, for instance, right? Can we both agree at one point black people weren't allowed into the NBA, and then they allowed them to be in the NBA? Wouldn't that be considered diversity? Wouldn't that be DEI in itself?
No. It's actually the opposite. You see, you're mistaken, my friend. It's actually, we're getting rid of any racial stereotyping. What happened was actually a form. No, DEI is racial stereotyping. So what actually was before was a form of white preference DEI, which is white supremacy or whatever. And then we got rid of it. We said, we're not going to discriminate it. And the quality of play got better. Do you guys see the difference between the two? You see, it's very important. Well, no, actually, I'm talking to both you and the crowd, right? I'm talking to both, right? So what you want is you actually want to bring back a form of how Major League Baseball and the NBA used to work before we desegregated.
So we can agree that Executive Order 11246 is what basically brought in DEI, correct?
I think that might be it. Is that the affirmative action one? I don't know.
No, it's not the affirmative action. It's for DEI. So within that executive order, where does it say that they're solely focused on making people get into jobs. For instance, like United Airlines, right? You mentioned that, well, let's pause that. I'm going to get to here. So for an example of DEI is basically your daughter, right? She decides to get a job, right? And unfortunately, it's that time of the month. She goes into the bathroom. Calm down, calm down, calm down. She goes into the bathroom. Stop. She's going into the bathroom.
You're losing the audience, man.
I don't care. I'm talking to you. So she goes into the bathroom, right? And she goes into the bathroom and gets a tampon or a pad that's been given from the job. That is DEI. That is literally, yes. Yeah. You don't know. That's great. So if you don't know, DEI, interrupt me so he can win. Go ahead. You want to do that, right? Or be quiet and we can talk. Thank you. So, right. Can I continue? Thank you. So, my thing is dead. All right, so, yes, because in Executive Order 11246, they say that DEI is focusing on a safer environment and a more equitable environment within the workplace and the hiring process. Let's look at Google. Google actually does DEI. You know how they do DEI? Give me an example of, do you know Google's DEI? I'm pretty sure you don't.
And they shouldn't, of course not.
What is their DEI initiative?
I actually don't know the specifics because I don't know every company's specifics. However, let me ask you a question. When you're hiring somebody, would you rather hire someone that's black or someone that there is excellent?
So that's what we're talking about. That's not what DEI is.
Actually, it is. So let me prove it to you. As I said, according to the Student for Fair Admission Supreme Court case, black students were able to get into Harvard with
affirmative action, not DEI.
Affirmative action. Time out.
You're
Time out. You're getting too worked up here, man. Okay. Time out. Affirmative action is DEI in practice. You see, DEI is a theory.
Wasn't it struck down by Supreme Court?
Yes, and they still ignore it.
So why are you bringing it up?
Because they're still ignoring it, my friend.
So let's focus on my question I asked you.
Hold on. Let's get back to the core macro tenet, which I think is very important.
Correct.
Which is, wouldn't you prefer a country built on excellence and merit,
that
not
is what
one
DEI does.
based on forced pigmentation diversity? Why does somebody's skin color matter? No, tell me, what differences do you as a black man and me as a white man have, and why does it matter?
Okay, so
why does it matter?
So let's look at, because again, you don't understand what DEI is, and you're trying to put it into one stance, which is not. So back to this question. So in executive order, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't know executive order 11246, correct? So
I have an idea of what President Trump signed, correct? But because he got rid of that executive order.
Right. And in that executive order, it says, literally, y'all can Google it too. It says that DEI focuses on both the workplace and hiring.
Oh,
now,
got it. So does it focus on diversity?
Now let me explain the
Does
DEI
it have the word
initiative.
diversity?
Yes, but
we should not have any forced diversity, period. End of story.
It's not forced diversity. It does not say forced diversity, and I'll put money on that too.
But does it say diversity?
It says diversity, yes.
Well, then it's forced diversity.
But it's not forced diversity.
Then what is it? It's a suggestion?
So correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm lying. Does it say forced diversity in the executive order?
But it has the word diversity.
Does it say forced diversity in executive order?
Hold on, let me get this straight. Executive order with the word diversity.
Can I give you an example of DEI initiative then?
Diversity?
Let me give you an example of DEI initiative so you have a better understanding. So let's look at Google, right? Google's one of the hardest companies to actually get into. In fact, I believe it's a 0.2% chance that you actually get the job, right? They actually run a DEI initiative. Their DEI initiative is called a hiring committee, where they have a diverse group of people that have been working.
Awful.
How? So you're telling me Google sucks?
Google actually is, honestly.
So y'all using Bing. Y'all using Bing.
Honestly, ChatGPT's way better than Google recently. I don't know about you guys. No, but honestly, to your point though, Google has lost its competitive edge in a lot of ways the last 10 years. Hold on a second. Again, Google does a lot right, but hold on. Google has lost the social media war. Google tried to launch a Facebook competitor, an Instagram competitor. Failed. They tried to also launch a Zoom and a Skype competitor.
Let's focus on the conversation.
Failed.
That has no proof
Google's
that was
market
DEI.
cap, Google's market cap, otherwise known as Alphabet, has actually missed expectations over the last 2 years versus Netflix, Amazon, and Apple and Microsoft. In fact, there was a prediction 10 years ago that Google would be the first $3 trillion company.
Right.
Turns out that it was actually Microsoft that was the first $3 trillion company. Now, of course, Alphabet is a very good company in a lot of different ways. But if your argument right now is like, well, because one of the biggest companies on the planet has embraced a bad idea, what is your argument exactly?
They're still one of the best companies in the world.
Not because of that, because they were built by merit and it's being destroyed by diversity.
And they use DEI to get that merit. Listen, if they're hiring people, yes, it makes sense. If you're doing a hiring process and you have a hiring committee that is DEI and they're hiring the people that's making the company as great as we just said, your argument is that DEI takes away merit.
It does.
But if we see that Google is doing well and they're using DEI, how the hell are you saying that DEI is not making merit?
First of all, Google has not had this hiring committee around since its inception.
They have. Not since its inception, but they had it for a while. And the people in the committee are people who's been there for a while, which is very diverse.
Secondly, you have not answered this fundamental question, though.
Go ahead.
Which is, can you tell me when an organization gets forcibly more diverse, it gets better?
Google.
Again, I just proved to you, Google
is Google.
Okay.
I just gave you Google.
Again,
they use DEI. Not only are they one of the best companies. Oh yeah. I hate that argument. Great.
I mean, again, it's just they're fine. I'm not gonna like totally kind of crap on Google, but like more importantly and more broadly, I do think you have to answer the question.
So I can't.
Why does skin color matter at all in hiring? Answer that question. Why does skin color matter?
So, if we look at basketball, because you love talking about that, right? Can we both agree that at one point there was no black athletes, and then what happened? They diversified.
We got rid of forced segregation, which is a form of DEI.
And that diversified the basketball,
because it was based on merit.
Was it diversified?
Yes, but not by force. No, hold on a second.
Very much.
Hold on, but if your argument is that if you want to make things more merit-based, then let's do it.
It is more merit-based.
Hold on a second.
They made it diversifying. They diversified basketball, bringing black people who are good in it.
Nothing you're saying is making any sense.
Oh, okay, I bet.
Because what they did.
Of course you don't.
The NBA went to pure merit, pure excellence. Are you good at this? That's all they cared about.
They allowed black people in, right?
Exactly, because prior.
Okay, then.
Hold on. Because you know what they had prior was a form of racial stereotyping. And you want more racial stereotyping. Your worldview is indecipherable from the KKK.
So
what you want, it's indecipherable because you are race obsessed. I am not race obsessed.
No, you
talk
though.
about the race. You talk about
though.
race more than the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Right.
Because
I'm the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Well, think about it. I said your worldview. Think about it.
Yeah.
Because you're around talking about race all the time. I'm talking about character. Which of us?
You talk about race all the time. You literally said DEI is based on race when it's not.
Because
it's
I'm explaining.
With accessibility.
Man, you're getting really upset.
You're right, because you keep
pause.
lying. For instance, right? I've been trying to say this. DEI, one part of DEI is literally giving women tampons or pads at work. Oh, yeah, you're laughing because you don't know that.
Giving women tampons is a form of DEI.
Yes, it is. You know why? Let me explain. Yeah, no, I got you. I'm about to explain to you guys. So basically what happens is, the reason why we have DEI is the fact that in a job location, right, they want to hire more people of diverse. So what these initiatives, these goals, these aspirations that they're doing is trying to bring more people in. For instance, like if, what's that store? Trader Joe's, right? They let people sit down while they bring stuff in. They help disability. That's DEI. That helps disabled people get a job at Trader Joe's. But what you're telling me is that we are not allowed to tell people that for like onboarding. Onboarding in itself is also DEI. When they explain to you sexual harassment, when they do all these things, when they make it more a safer place, that is DEI. And what you're saying is that the workplace shouldn't be safe. What you're saying is that more companies should have discrimination lawsuits.
Let's get back
That's what DEI
let's
stops.
get back.
Discrimination lawsuits.
DEI is racial quotas. End of story.
Give me one racial quota.
United
Give me one.
Airlines.
I Googled that.
So
go ahead.
Oh,
I Googled it.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So
go ahead, continue.
What did United Airlines announce? Because you know what I said about black pilots. What did they announce when it came to pilots? And why should skin color matter when you board an airplane?
So just to remind everybody, it's Charlie Kirk's idea. He basically, stop talking. So Charlie Kirk basically.
Ooh, that's very misogynist. That's not very DEI of you.
All right, let me finish cooking. So, right. So, can I finish? So, Charlie Kirk said that they're basically hiring women of color to make 40 or 50%, right? But when you actually look into it, what happens is
women and people of color.
Right, women and people of color. What happens is they're creating a program that's allowing women to train to become pilots. If you actually look at the requirements for these programs, it's nothing different than any other program that trains pilots. But you told people that they're just hiring women when that's not true.
First of all, I never said that.
Yes, you did. I did a video on it, guy.
Yes, I know what I said. Secondly, when you hire based on race and not on excellence, you end up compromising the standards of excellence.
They're not hiring based
Allow
on
me
race,
to
though.
finish without interrupting you.
All right, go ahead,
When you
Lai.
hire based on race and not on excellence, you end up compromising excellence to be able to pursue race. We know this with Harvard, University of California. We know this with major companies. We know this with the government. Exactly. DEI, that is affirmative action is DEI philosophy
Which been
in
struck down
practice.
already. You're bringing OG has been
Allow
struck
me
down.
to finish
That's
my
crazy.
statement.
Go
They
ahead.
are actively defying the Supreme Court decision, or they are contorting their policies to try to fit their own DEI agenda. But let me ask you a question. If you were to board a United Airlines,
I ain't get the finish. Go ahead.
if you were to board a flight with United Airlines, would you rather have a pilot that is qualified or one that is diverse? Answer the question.
Wait, that makes no sense. Why is there two different things? How is it different? When you go to American Airlines.
Because in the pursuit of diversity, you sacrifice excellence every time. We know this with Harvard.
Right.
We know this with Yale.
So
we know this with the military.
Right.
Every time,
Right.
every
Right.
example that we pursue diversity, an institution becomes less excellent.
So
it becomes subpar.
When you go on a plane, do you go to the pilot and ask for their credentials, or do you believe that the airline did the right thing
No.
and hired the right? So you ask
No,
for
I
their
don't.
credentials.
Actually,
you don't.
I'm starting
you don't.
to.
So,
well, hold on.
so
I
for
start
some
to doubt
reason,
it.
we
That
can
was
have
my
both
statement.
diversity and
That
merit
was my
thing.
statement. My
Right.
statement was when you're going to, if you're going to go from 4% of the pilots being black to 50% of the pilots to be black, it begs the question: you are going to lower the standards.
So my
you are
question
going
is-
to, you're going to put a square peg through a round hole. You are going to force something that naturally is not happening, and you will all of a sudden be playing a very treacherous and dangerous game when you board a plane. When I get heart surgery or if I board a plane, I don't care about the color of the skin of the
Thank you,
person
facts.
doing it.
Right,
I
yeah.
want excellence and I want meritocracy.
Yes. So, stop talking. Are you talking? So, right, let's get back to because you're talking a lot.
Final point, then I'll get to the next question.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so again, going back to what you said, because like I said earlier ago, you said, and I forgot this is ISU, you basically said that that women are being hired to become pilots, right? Now, first, that's a lie. That's based on a program. Second, correct me if I'm wrong, becoming a pilot is based on skill, correct? It's not based on height. It's not based on physicality. It's based on nothing. It's based on skill, meaning
Not
that
always.
if you're being so what is it based on?
Because based on a now public lawsuit with the Department of Transportation in 2016, 2017, air traffic controllers and pilot standards were lowered in pursuit of diversity
true. I
goals.
looked at that too.
Because of over
They
15.
added more
Let me
shit.
finish. Because of 15 whistleblowers that said the standard of air traffic controllers and pilots were being sacrificed in the pursuit of diversity,
You're lying
equity,
again.
and inclusion.
You're lying again.
Okay, I mean people can do their own independent research, and they
I've
also.
done it, and you're lying. They
okay.
actually made it harder. They add more scenarios within the FAA.
Again, everybody
you
here
can Google it. Google it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Again, the documents bear out exactly. We now have.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
We have air
Next,
traffic
next.
controllers after air
Next.
traffic controllers have said in the pursuit of making air traffic controlling more diverse, we have then lowered the quality of air traffic controlling.
So at the end of all this, what you basically told me is that if merit matters, it doesn't matter, because when we mentioned blind hiring, you said you're against that, which is based on merit.
No, time out. They said that they want to prioritize a group above what is meritocratic.
They didn't say that.
That's what United
If you
Airlines
want,
said. They said
I'm
half.
so confident.
They
Read
said
the
half.
executive order out loud
I'm talking about United
right
Airlines.
now
We're not talking about the
in front of
executive order.
everybody.
Again, they
All right,
said
yeah,
half
next.
of all their
You got
new
Cook.
hires.
You got Cook.
Again,
Hey, thank you.
we have clarity, and the clarity is very simple. We want a country based on content and merit. He wants a retribalization of America. Thank you.
This guy right here, he's someone who takes race very personal. And he's always talking about, we're talking about this DEI, which is a crazy statement. Number one, DEI is like a step of affirmative actions. You know, so when someone talk about, whenever you see that they have trapped them in affirmative action, they're entitled to DEI. When they talk about diversity, it's a crazy statement. Whenever there's diversity, there's always inequality. Whenever there's diversity, that's when it comes to race. Race always comes in. You understand? Whenever someone talks diverse, you know that they want to bring it to this race matter. You understand? And this guy right here who feels like he's smart and someone who's knowledgeable was making a fool of himself. He has the end of the matter is talking about the black people are being segregated or being oppressed or being neglected. That is what he was trying to talk about. He was trying to bring in the affirmative action. Because Donald Trump have stopped it, he's trying to use that DEI as a way to penetrate Charlie. The DEI as a whole is a bullshit. DEI never thrives. Whenever you see diversity into something, it never thrives. You understand? I don't care about who the pilot is, whether it's black or white, even a surgeon, even a teacher, whether they're black or white, it's none of my business. As long as they are good at what they do, as long as they merit the job that they are doing, that is what matters. You understand? Whenever you're talking about this diversity as it's in, bringing diversity into it, you're going extreme. He made an example of NBA. NBA do not bring people because of diversity. They bring in people because they are good at something. It's as simple as that. Either you are an Asian, either you are black, either you are white, either you are any skin, either Hispanic. They bring you in there because you are good at it, because you have skills, not because of your skin color. NBA found out and saw that a lot of black people, over 80% of black people play NBA. They are good at their sports. They are very, very athletic. Black people in general are athletic. They are good in sports in general. Whenever you talked about sports, black people are really good. You understand? I know that there is diversity there, but it is because of their skill. I keep on saying it was because of their skill. The guy was going to affirmative action, and Charlie, he knows that Charlie is going to win him in that debate. So he's using the word of DEI to come and challenge Charlie. And Charlie is telling him, in general, diversity, whenever you see something, diversity good or diversity bad, as long as the diversity, it never triumph, it never grows. You understand? And this entire debate right here was actually not needed. The guy was playing the victim mentality, that black aspect of being left behind, or they are being neglected. You understand? And it feels like he's saying the truth. His manner and approach of his entire statement was bad. And Charlie was just cool. Charlie don't want to argue much with the guy. He was just cool listening to him. And the guy did not have respect for himself, neither do you have respect for the crowd or Charlie. You understand? His behavior says it all. By you seeing the way he behaved, his body movement says it all. He was playing the victim game. He was playing the victim game right here. Talking about tampons. Who the hell bring tampon? How in the world is tampon a way of DI? It's crazy. And you even use the scenario of Charlie Kid. Like, why in the world would you say tampons is a way of DI? Now you brought in Google, saying bullshit about Google. Check Google. ChatGPT and also other AI is beating Google in so many ways. I'm not saying diversity aspects is not good, right? Having different people with different races from different places is a very beautiful thing. But when you are adding that diversity into it, make sure that diversity you are adding, that's skillful. Don't do it because of skin tone or skin color, or because you are afraid of being judged that you are employing more white people than black people. That is just my own take in this. You understand? Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video to as many as you can. Subscribe to our channel, guys. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.